Hot Tub, everyone. We are so glad that you are here. Greg Elsten, Chris Reed, Raphie Cantor, making weird moves, getting things done. It's February 26th as we record this week's episode. Oh my God, a month from now, the season will be underway. We are literally a week away, gentlemen, from our annual 3-week sojourn of best case scenario, worst case scenario, real case scenario going into the season. That's it. Like, what? Next show, it begins.
Wow.
I really hope something happens in between one of those shows. Can we do worst case first? So just in case something good happens, we can adjust our best case.
Okay, you want to do worst case first?
I don't. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, what's your thinking on the proposal?
Well, I mean, right now, my best case scenario is literal angels in the outfield because we do not have. I'm like, we're gonna need some dead people to fill in left and center because right now, like, I don't know how I'm gonna like. I can't. I don't even think I can make up a best case in this situation.
Okay,
Oh, maybe
good.
we
The
should start with
ghosts of
worst case then.
PCL legends. The PCL Padres from the 40s. That's what Raphie's banking on. Nice.
Fair enough. Well, maybe next week we start at the lowest of lows so we can get to the highest of highs as we continue. And the highest of highs being defined as we actually signed Raimel Tapia, finally.
Stop trying to make fetch happen, Craig.
We didn't get 2 minutes in and Raimel.
That was just for you, Chris. That was for no one but you. Everyone else in the audience understand that was an inside bit. That was just me. Just me giving Chris shit. Okay, couple quick housekeeping points before we get things going with the show, and we've got a great show lined up for today. Obviously, the best way to support Padres Hot Tub is with our Patreon community, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. We are at an all-time high in terms of subscribers to our community. We are approaching opening day, and of course there is no better time to get involved than now. You can start as low as $5 a month. A lot of people are jumping in at that $12 level as well, which has a lot of added benefits, but check it out. Make a decision for yourself. Make a decision as a smart consumer. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. I know, speaking for the three of us, what we try to do is make that an easy decision for you, something that you look back and go, of course $5 is worth or even $12 is worth what I'm getting as a part of this community. So from our Discord to all the various different things that happens for this community, check it out for yourself, patreon.com, unless you guys want to add anything to that. With the stunned looks, I'll move on.
I'm seeing if I can sign up.
You already did. That's how you got in at the beginning. Monty, our commissioner of commissioners, Capi de los Capitanes, asked me to make a final push for fantasy. And this is, kind of a co-push for Patreon as well. One of the benefits that you get as being a member of our Patreon community is access to our Discord, where you become accessible to our various and multifaceted fantasy leagues that we do through Padres Hot Tub. Just this week alone, Survivor 46 Fantasy League is rebooting. Our sixth edition of Survivor Fantasy is taking off with a 12-person league, actually 13-person, because we're going to have one co-managed team as we get excited for Jeff Probst's continued involvement in American pop culture. So that is happening. The NBA League is heading into the stretch run and getting into the final several weeks of the season, and John Percoda is going to win again. Whatever. But nonetheless, we still engage in the attempt to try to dethrone the mighty John Percoda of Pods Above Replacement. But baseball fantasy, baby, that's where it's at. Our keeper league is 16 deep, of which 15 are very responsible owners, and the 16th is me.
Oh, 14. Padres Obsessed West also is a dingus.
Look, Wes is a golf buddy of mine, and I wasn't going to throw him under the bridge, but you did.
Happy to.
So that's fine. I was going to say that I was the only one, that it was a complete dickwad.
No lies here on Padres Hot Tub, ever.
Fine. But also, what about promotion relegation? We have a 4-tier redraft ecosystem where the top teams can advance and the bottom teams are relegated. And we are filling out and still have a couple of spaces left in the D tier, in the 4th tier of American soccer. No, in the 4th tier of Padres Hot Tub Fantasy. So get on in. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Get in, because what is more exciting than winning your league, winning money, and moving up. I'm in the top tier, and my only goal is to finish 6th. I'm Tottenham. I just don't want to be relegated ever. I don't need to be in the Champions League. I just don't need to be relegated. That's my goal.
I was very close to getting promoted last year, and I had to make do with staying in B League. This year, we talk about often what will make our what expectations we have for the coming season. I expect at the end of the year, I will have 2 Padres hot tub blankets, one for my shoulders for a poncho, the other one for a backdrop, and I will be in A League. That is my preseason prediction.
And you just said it. Champions in our leagues, even in the D League, all get fluffy, delightful, double-sided Padres hot tub blankets. In fact, one of our fantasy league owners just logged back into Discord and literally DM'd me 2 days ago. I had DM'd him months ago going, "What's your address? I need to send your blanket." He's like, "I'm so sorry. Is it too late?" I'm like, "I'll still send you your blanket, man. I'll send you your blanket. I don't care if it's 6 months later. That blanket's on your way, baby." So yeah, join us. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub for Padres Hot Tub Fantasy. Last note along those lines. One of the things that we do on our Discord is we have group therapy in season and even in preseason, which is our call-in show. It is our community show. We get together, we record it live on Discord. It's audio only, but you have the opportunity to participate as well. We have resumed this for 2024. What is this week's recording date, gentlemen?
I don't know that we have one yet.
Thursday it is.
Thursday, but
Thursday it is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Because Wednesday's the Survivor premiere, Raphie. You wouldn't want to cut in to our Padres Hot Tub Survivor community. Like, exactly.
Thursday's Traders. So that's...
Thursday is Traders. Thursday is Traders. But we can record and then watch Traders because
fair enough.
It's not live. So, fair. So Thursday will be group therapy.
Give a shout out to our baseball card gang in the baseball card channel of Discord. We had our 3rd break this week, and it was quite rough. There were technical difficulties and whatnot. But in the end, we did pull 2 cards with values over $100, and they were both Yankees, oddly enough. But 2 really great looking cards: an Aaron Judge team border and Jason Dominguez rookie card gold. So we are pulling some great cards out of there. They're a lot of fun when the breaks go off without a hitch. So if you would like to get in on a box of baseball cards with some Padre fans who love the hobby, come see us in the Discord.
So as you can tell, we have a vibrant community because we can talk about it for a good solid 6 to 8 minutes. And we could keep going if we wanted to. But let's talk Padres baseball in this Padres baseball independent podcast that's mostly ad-free. Shout out H.J. Preller. All right, it's spring training, guys, and it's time to completely overreact because, as we know, every time the Padres lose or fail, this is merely a part of the process. We're working on things. Spring training results are completely irrelevant, and who cares, idiot? Whereas, if anything positive happens, it is clearly affirmation that the season is about to be great, and why would you possibly doubt us, jerk? This is the way that things are supposed to go. So we're 5 games in. Padres are 1-4. Who cares, jerk? Results don't matter. Why you bring it up anyway? We don't care. Let's talk about the things that do matter. It appears that Jackson Merrill is our starting left fielder, guys. Are you prepared for the Jackson Merrill era? It begins March 20th in Korea.
No, I'm not prepared. This section is called Overreactions, right? I have that correct, right? Because that is an overreaction. Our starting left fielder as of now is going to be jerks in Profar. So I do think that that's an overreaction. I don't think that they're, unless they're planning on putting Profar in center, because why the fuck not at this point? Like, who else is going to play
Profar is
there?
going to be DH, Raphie. He's a
He's
designated
going to be our
DH. What he
DH.
is.
our
He's going to
classic
be our DH.
power hitter. 80 grade smile. So you can't take that away from Profar. No, I mean, like, listen, I have loved watching Merrill this entire spring. In all of these 5 games that we've seen so far, he's looked amazing.
Of which he's played, 3 or 2?
Something like that, yeah. I'm looking at the stats right now, and I do believe that he's not even qualified, so I can't even look at his stats on the Padres team website. So that's how much he's played. He does have a very, very beautiful swing. Like, truly, looking at him bat, he looks so relaxed at the plate. The way he has not panicked at all when it comes to major league hitting. And he had a fantastic interview with Sammy Levitt immediately after his game where he had like a 2 RBI game. And, I was like, from like a, quote unquote leadership. Oh my God, Eric Hosmer, he's right behind me. Standpoint. He sounded amazing, and he did not seem like he was intimidated at all to be at the plate in these settings. I just don't think it's the right thing for his development. Is that too much to ask? That we don't put a kid who's 20 years old as their starting left fielder because the organization has money to spend and they don't want to spend it? Like, I don't know. Something is not adding up for me. How are you feeling about it, Chris?
I'm feeling like that the Padres have a history in this exact situation. And if they repeat their past successes in this situation, they will ignore the business benefits of bringing him up, meaning you get to save money and you don't have to spend $4 million or $5 million or whatever this absolutely basement market for veteran players is, in favor of paying the young guy almost nothing, league minimum. And if they ignore the business benefits, I'm great with it. If the baseball benefits are that Jackson Merrill, I don't want to use the word ready, because I started looking into how we've done with past prospects, and Louis Urias, everybody thought was ready at various times, and now he's kind of a case of probably wasn't. His development hasn't panned out. He didn't turn out to be a great major leaguer, and maybe another year or so in the minors, just knocking the ball around and getting his own process down might have helped it. At this point in spring training 2019, nobody thought Fernando Tatis Jr. was going to make the team for business reasons. They didn't really even, the conversation wasn't if he was ready or not. People just kind of assumed he did, and he was. But they thought that the Padres would make the business decision and not keep him down. Like Dennis Lin said, I give it close to 0 chance in February. Kevin AC said it's likely that even if his bat literally catches fires and he hits home runs that tear actual holes in the Arizona sky, Tatis will begin his season at AAA. And fans went into it hoping that he would do exactly that. He would have the 1.3 OPS and force the team's hand. And that's not what he did. He had an OPS of around 800, maybe 700. But what he did is he went out and showed the team that he's capable of helping them win games on the base paths, with his defense. And if Jackson Merrill does that, we're still in the first week of spring training. If he does that, then I'm ready. Yes, I don't think they'd be doing him a disservice, because like you said in that interview with Sammy Levitt, and shout out Sammy Levitt, he has been doing some amazing content out there in spring training. I've just been eating it all up. In that interview, Jackson Merrill came off not just like an advanced 20-year-old. He came off like an arrogant dude who was hungry to make his case. And I think that arrogance, something that we don't necessarily like in people, but in the best athletes and the next level people, it seems to just be inherent and present. He has it. He talked about going the other way on a pitch that the infield had lined up on the other way. And he's like, yeah, give what you take it. He talked about how they were trying to forge a new culture of winning. He's 20 years old and hasn't played past AA. So, like, I really thought his arrogance showed him to be the type of player that has the makeup to come up and help them win games.
Oh,
I think you're muted, Craig.
You're
Craig's
muted,
lips
I did that on
totally
purpose
moved
because I
right
had to
there.
switch. My AirPods died.
Purpose.
I had to switch to this, and I muted it so that we wouldn't have an interruption in broadcast with an echo. Thank you,
Thank
guys,
you.
for recognizing my professionalism throughout all of it. I appreciate. I appreciate you all. You've both spoken very eloquently about the issue. Let me speak very pragmatically about the issue. The Padres had choices over and over again. They could have chosen to have signed Aaron Hicks for the major league minimum to come in and straight up claim a corner outfield job. The Angels made that choice instead, and Aaron Hicks is playing every day for them right now in spring training. The Padres could have signed Eddie Rosario. They could have signed Randall Grichuk. They could have signed a host of players to come in and play left field. And what they did was signed Tatis's like boombox buddy, Jurickson Profar, to come in and make sure like the drinks are properly arranged in the clubhouse. They signed a bunch of Scribinis off of other rosters, and they put Jackson Merrill in a, if you're watching on YouTube, you see it, air quotes, competition for left field, in which if Jackson Merrill loses the competition, AJ Preller's number one position player prospect lost out to Cal Mitchell or Oscar Mercado or Jurickson Profar, the worst player in baseball in 2023. Guys, that's not how AJ works. AJ's not demoting Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill's the starting left fielder. On opening day in Seoul, he's going to be, as it's currently constructed, the second best left-handed bat in San Diego's lineup. And it's not going to change.
Who's the first?
Jake Cronenworth.
Yeah, he might be the best left-handed bat in San Diego's lineup.
And it's not going to change because if it changed, AJ Preller would have to retreat tactically. And he only goes forward with his prospects. And he can sell to the national audience that the number one hitting prospect in the organization is starting in left field at age 20. Precocious! How precocious! Whereas if he put even Tommy Pham in front of him, Jackson Merrill would have to beat out Tommy Pham in order to be the left fielder of the San Diego Padres. And that would be a real competition that might, God forbid, force Jackson Merrill back to AA, where probably objectively he belongs. But that's not what the Padres have done. I'm here to tell you guys, he's the left fielder.
I don't think it's fair to say that's probably objectively what it could done. I don't know. The kid hasn't had a sprint. He hasn't had more than 3 days facing major league pitching. I do want to say that the thing that last year I gave AJ Preller the absolute most grief over was that he put on this roster 2 designated hitters. He filled roster spots with people who were not flexible, who could only contribute in a specific way. And the market that AJ has been waiting for is now at its basement. Now is the time. What he thought was going to happen has happened. There are deals to be had all over the place, right? They're not for the best guys, but there are guys available that if Jackson Merrill is objectively not ready, and I trust AJ Preller to be able to make that evaluation because that's what he's friggin' good at. He made it right, the correct one with Tatis. And I'll remind you that he did retreat in that case. Luis Urias did not start the year with the Padres that year. Greg Garcia and Ian Kinsler did. And he had been up the year before, so he had to send him back down for more cooking. I trust him to make this call.
But Greg Garcia and Ian Kinsler are the equivalent of Tommy Pham and Eddie Rosario in the current scenario. In this case, we didn't even put anybody in front of Jackson Merrill. We put Jurickson Profar in the mixer. And if Profar wins, then Merrill's not good enough to beat out Jurickson Profar, the worst player in baseball. That it's just
Will Myers was worst.
If he had played the full season, yes.
But he was too bad to be able to play the full
got
season
before he could be the worst. Oh my God. They were both on our team. I know this might sound cynical, but I just really think it's true. This is AJ's thing. And unless he makes a big trade to change it that's splashy, Jackson's the one thing that until it fails, which it could or could not, it's a chance for him to look good.
But that's the thing about this discussion. We're only talking about one spot. There's still another gigantic hole out there that unless he's planning on putting Jose Azocar out there, which I think is not great, you're relying on that trade. So we're still looking at an incomplete picture, which I'm not going to get panicky about yet. Not yet. We have the worst case podcast for me to get panicky over. That's in a week.
That's next week.
First of all, I just want to say, have some respect for 1429 OPS Jose Azocar in these very meaningful spring training plate appearances. I believe he's had like 7 or 8. So, you can hang your hat on that. I don't know. Craig, I hear your argument about this is an opportunity for AJ Preller to look really good. I think it's also an opportunity for him to look pretty bad. Sure. If Merrill comes up and he's terrible, I mean, lest we forget CJ Abrams breaking camp with the team because, again, there was a hole. There was a hole to be filled by someone who was, we needed a middle infield help. And so CJ Abrams came in and he promptly put up a 77 WRC plus in his time with us, a 232, 285, 320 slash line. He was not ready. And he went to the Nationals and wasn't ready. And then all of a sudden, at the end of last season, he became a monster because he had time to develop, Chris.
But he only, when he was traded to the Nationals, he played a total of 7 or 8 games in the minor leagues. They also evaluated him to be, at least from a developmental standpoint, ready to get to the major leagues and start growing. The problem with his time on the Padres is they were trying to compete. They had Ha-Seong Kim. They had people filling those spots. They could not give him that playing time. So what are you're going to send him to the moon? If you think the dude is ready to start learning at the major league level, I'm not sure sending him to AAA helps that anymore.
I'm sorry, I'm not saying that either. I'm saying send him back to AA. Because let's lest we forget, Fernando Tatis Jr., for all of his hype, had more than twice as many plate appearances in AA than Jackson Merrill has had.
And got his butt kicked in the beginning of AA. He was bad for a while.
Absolutely. And he had 57 plate appearances in 2017 at AA and put up a 63 WRC plus. Now, of course, he came back in 2018, played a full season in San Antonio and absolutely slaughtered 133 WRC plus, but it took time, he needed that off season from 2017 to 2018 to develop, to grow, because again, at the time, Fernando Tatis Jr. was turning 19 years old, only a year younger than Jackson Merrill, so I hear what you're saying, Craig, that it's an opportunity for him. I just, again, come back to that Preller, he has the excuse if he signs a FAM and FAM is meh, that it's all right, well, this was a transition year, et cetera, et cetera. If he brings up Merrill, it's not he's starting the clock. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is the new era of Padres baseball. And AJ's theoretically on a 1-year deal as his Schilt, kind of. So I think it's possible. I think it's a huge gambit for him. And maybe, people don't change. And AJ's someone who likes to roll the dice. So if you're on that school of thought, I see it. I just, there's too many pieces left on the board for me to buy in that Merrill is going to be the opening day starter for the Padres.
Look, I don't disagree with one scintilla of your reasoning and your analysis. I think that Jackson Merrill 100% should start in AA. And I think 100% that a qualified major leaguer should be installed in left field for Merrill to have to beat out in order to be the outfielder. Unfortunately, that's not what's going on. That's not what's happening.
In 30 Rock, Liz Lemon and her producer Pete, to replace a cast member that had gone, they had a specific formula for inserting the person they wanted, right? They had their Jackson Merrill. And when the audition process had gone through, they found out that person was a psychopath. And Jack Donaghy hired a clown off the street who became Liz Lemon's boyfriend. That's the moral of the story, is there's always clowns off the street. And until we get closer to the end of spring training, we're not going to know if they're outside the elevator or not.
I believe firmly that if you have a 1-year deal for AJ Preller, that he's going to bet on his evaluation of Jackson Merrill over the potential production of Tommy Pham. And that he's going to do that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And the last thing I'll say about this before we move on to a voluminous menu that contains many other points is that our beloved Fangraphs rates Jackson Merrill as a 55/70 hit tool. Okay? That's Corey Seager levels of batting. And if this man can hit, I don't care that he's in left field. To me, left field, shortstop, who gives a shit? If you're good enough to play shortstop, you're probably better in left field because the issues that Jackson Merrill has had in his defensive evaluations has been his hands. Don't worry about your hands when you're out there running down a ball. You just stick it out at the end to catch the ball. So I don't care about that. If the guy can hit 285 in the big leagues, start him on opening day and play him every day for the rest of his career and sign him to a contract extension. Like, tremendous. If they're wrong, they've completely dicked over Jackson Merrill, the 2024 season, the Padres fan base, the conceit of Peter Seidler's era, and AJ Preller's tenure as general manager, and everyone can go down the effing toilet. Okay? No pressure, Jackson. All right? Get some hits. Keep that opposite field stroke alive. But if this is the path you're going down of my prospects or the end of it, Jackson's going to be the spear, the point of the spear in 2024, and he's going to be the starter in left field for the Padres on opening day.
I have to jump in. 55/70, you want to cite that, that's fine. But what that means is 55 current/70 future. And the future is super, super important. And from that very same like top 100 prospects article, they sketch out probabilities of what the outcome is, future value outcome of each of these prospects. And Jackson Merrill right now, assuming a normal development pattern, has a 45% chance of being a middling, just above replacement level or a complete bust. That's what we deal with in terms of prospects. He's slightly more than likely to be an everyday major leaguer, if not amazing, which is a great dice roll for us because he's a cheap player. But there's a huge margin of error because he is 20 years old. And so I really, really hope that this organization can exercise a little bit of prudence. And when and if they have money to spend it wisely so they don't ruin their investments, which is what Jackson Merrill is. He is a massive, massive investment for this team. So please don't screw it up.
Yeah, Raphie, I don't want the business decision, but I do want to listen to Jackson Merrill. And when he says playing ball is playing ball regardless of the level, I think I'm ready. I want to believe him. And when Fernando Tatis Jr. says, I've seen enough from the kid. It's been a week since I met him, but he's one of us. I want to believe him.
When I hear Fernando Tatis Jr. say that, I question his judgment. That's what when you've known this guy for a week. Maybe consider a larger...
Now you're questioning Fernando Tatis.
Yeah, now you're questioning sample sizes. Now we're questioning a week of stuff. All right.
And FTJ.
I said I want to believe.
Judgment. Yeah. I mean, consider all the data points of all the great judgments he's made in his career so far. Okay, that's Jackson Merrill. Trust me, he's great talk show fodder right now here in San Diego. I don't even really want to talk about center field. The Padres are undermanned. Okay, the Padres are undermanned. They're either going to start Jose Azocar, who's not a regular in center field, or they're going to start Jakob Marsee, who's a high A player that should start the year in Double A in center field. And if Jakob Marsee is the next coming of Brett Butler, or name your prototypical center
She's
fielder,
funny. She's very funny, Craig.
different.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I went back to TV land.
Yeah. Is that Rhett Butler or Brett Butler?
I thought it was Brett Butler.
I think it is Brett Butler.
Okay.
I think you're right. But that appears to be the case. There's literally no other competition. It's fly in somebody from the moon.
I want to steal from Raphie. Like, that's a fourth place decision, right? Like, you can either shoot for wild card, which means World Series, because that's what happens to wild card teams. They go to the World Series.
They go to the World Series.
So your choice is either fourth place or World Series. And Azocar and probably Marsee are fourth place decisions.
I agree.
So they have to do something.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. Maybe they'll do a trade.
They'll do a trade.
We're supposed to be overreacting to spring training. Jakob Marsee has been outstanding in spring training, and Jose Azocar bombs, doubles, catches in the gap.
Jacked.
Did you see him? Did you see his Instagram post?
I did.
I'm like moving the computer around. He is so jacked, yoked, CrossFit. This kid can jump on the top of tires. He can do it all. Jackson Merrill's our left fielder. Azocar Marsee's our center fielder. And you will like it. You're going to like it. Hey, Jake Cronenworth's been okay so far.
Crone Zone. First at bat.
Shotgun.
Pure beef.
Power shot. Gotta love it. Got a couple hits today, too. Looked okay. Let's overreact.
I'm ready to overreact to the fact that Fernando Tatis Jr. doesn't have a hit yet. So when are we going to bench him?
Oh my God.
Bench Tatis.
Can we trade him to the Yankees?
I know.
Can we get Soto?
Tatis to the Yankees for Nestor Cortez. Who says no?
Who says
has
no?
been Yankees hot plunge. We are diving in the Hudson. Ba-boom!
It's the water they boil the hot dogs in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, delicious. Here's my Jake Cronenworth overreaction. It looks like Jake's heading for his first year of improvement year over year.
Let's go! Da, 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 da. I love it. Hey, look. It sure would be great if Jake Cronenworth hit the baseball this year, so I'm gonna accept it. Meanwhile, our opening day starter so far has gone 2/3 and had the ball taken away with 4 runs allowed, and then gone 2/3 and had the ball taken away with 4 runs allowed. But thanks to spring training, come back for the second inning after he was blown out of the game, and then fire a 1-2-3 at the bottom of the order. So, how are we feeling about our man Joe Musgrove if we're overreacting to spring training?
It was so fun watching ESPN and have them just having a pornographic tribute to the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani, even though that dude wasn't even playing in the damn game. Just absolutely lewd in the beginning of the game. And then have Joe come out and just get lit. You guys know I love a story. This is a wonderful beginning of a redemption story. You know, it starts as absolutely as bad as it could, even though it's meaningless. It looks bad, and it gives people a nice little taste in their mouths of the Padres being inept and their local boy pitching team captain not having it against the best in the biz. So hopefully this is the cliche start of the story.
So Dennis Lynn had tweeted today that Joe Musgrove has been working on a sweepier slider after his breaking pitches began to blend together last summer. He still has his old slider and isn't sure how much he'll throw the new pitch this year. And I just want to shout out a reply on Twitter to Dennis. who from Twitter user at Stewie Sloan, who said, "Tell him it sucks." The first thing I saw when the pitch came up.
Hey Joe, counterpoint. At Stewie Sloan says your sweeper sucks. Oh my God. Buy me into the gold level membership where I can just see that question asked live. Hey Joe, get stuttering John in the locker room. Hey Joe, your sweeper sucks. When are you going to change it? Okay, so again, let's apply the official rules of spring training. Joe Musgrove's working on something, jerks. Why do you care what he's doing? Idiots. Also, not for nothing, Michael King looks good.
This is the most
in the National
Jekyll and
League.
Hyde. Yeah, I can't. It's just every other player is catastrophe, or he's going to be an all-star. Doesn't
It
matter.
is weird how Michael King's working on a pitch too. You know, he's been working on a pitch and he's not getting completely ripped apart by the Dodgers.
He must be working on it better than Joe is. I don't know. Niebla magic. Figure it out, guys. Okay, so I'm only half kidding when I say that I did have this on the laptop while the show was on today. And I swear to Jesus, he looks just like Corey Kluber. Like, he has said that he emulates Corey Kluber. He has said that this is his role model in terms of mechanics and pitching and stuff. And doggone it, he does all of it. He turns his back slightly to the opponent. He's got the rhythmic leg kick. He's got the slider that slams in. He's got the one that cuts off the plate. He's got the hard fastball that dots the corner. Michael King, in interviews, Raphie, this week, insisted. He was not goofing around. He said his innings target this year is between 180 and 200, which would likely lead to Tommy John surgery in 2025. But could be a hell of a year for the Padres this year. I mean, I don't know. He looks really good.
He looks great. I'm really excited. I mean, I've loved listening to him. I mean, I think he was the one. Speaking of Corey Kluber, like, you know, he talked about how he spoke to Corey Kluber, and like basically Kluber was like, Niebla is the reason I want to Cy Young, and like that's why I'm like so stoked to be working with him. That was really cool to hear him say. Yeah, I mean, it's a little concerning to hear that. I would love if he could do it, but I do worry about being put in a position, and this kind of maybe transitions to our next topic, which is about depth. Like, if he's put in a position where we're relying on him to throw 200 innings, that concerns me because he has the kind of makeup similar to Joe Musgrove as we saw last season when Joe Musgrove was on a rehab start and was like launching and falling onto his shoulder to try and get a runner out on a swinging bunt single in Sacramento. I was like, what were we doing?
How dare he? Counterpoint, how dare he?
But he's got that dog in him, is what I'm saying. And Michael King, also, as my friends on Yankees Hot Plunge have told me, bada bing, Michael King has that dog in him. And I think I'm just worried about a position where we're going to be depending on Michael King to be throwing, 7 innings down the stretch in July, August, because we don't have anyone good that we're feeling good about. And that can lead to potential disaster. So far, I like Michael King, but again, we have two innings. Two innings to go off of.
Great innings, Raphie. Seth Lugo also set a kind of crazy high pitch goal for himself last year and came within just a few of reaching it. And the Padres don't have a notoriously clingy manager when it comes to starting pitchers and keeping them in the game anymore. Bob Melvin liked to ride his guys for get that 6 out of them, and it remains to be seen, but I don't get the impression from what Schultz has talked about with the bullpen usage and his alignment with AJ. I think they'll be a little bit better about that.
Concur, probably. Just something to watch. I mean, the actual innings jump year to year, Lugo 22 to 23, if you applied that to King, I think it would get him close to 180 because he started at 110 and Lugo was under 70 the year before and he got to close to 150. So, have faith in Niebla and the pitching lab from Point Loma and all of that to make Michael King right. I'm just saying his stuff looks good. He's got the frame. It's the one thing for us to be excited about. And I will say as a tag to this, I saw Juan Soto's first homer as a Yankee. It was on my social feed on Saturday. It both pissed me off. It broke my heart. It made me feel sad. I wish Juan Soto was on this team. I know there's a universe that would exist where Juan Soto would be on this team and we would be celebrating this last year of him being with us. There's a separate universe where we never signed Bogarts and we threw all our money at Soto and maybe, I don't know. We are where we are. We can't go back in time. I'm excited to have King and the pitchers that we have, but doggone it. Choices have been made. To wit, real quick, because I want to get to the second part of the show. It's one time through for the battle for the fourth and fifth starters. And I think so far, Randy Vasquez, Matt Waldron have outperformed Johnny Brito, Pedro Avila. It doesn't mean anything. The next turn, it could be the complete opposite, but it's one turn through of probably 3 or 4 of a actual determinative thing. Like this will decide who's the fourth and fifth starters and who maybe are the seventh and eighth bullpen guys for this team. And if it's Vasquez and Waldron, I'll be okay with it. I'm telling you, I am going to be okay if Matt Waldron is one of our 5 starters breaking out of camp.
And Raphie, isn't that ranking kind of basically in line with like their future value rankings?
I'm sorry, you're saying the ranking of Vasquez, Waldron, Brito, Avila?
Yeah. It feels like that's probably right in line with how they're expected to perform.
To be honest, I don't think that Waldron is ranked as high as Vasquez or Brito. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm also somewhat comfortable with that order because my understanding is that Brito is a little bit more, the error bars are a little bit wider with him. Like he does have the stuff potential that he could, theoretically slot all the way up to like a mid rotation, or he can be kind of nothing and turn into a 6th inning relief guy. So what we've seen from Waldron so far, again, we're operating off of 2 innings, but he's given up 2 hits. He hasn't walked anyone and he hasn't struck anyone out. Like he's just kind of like floating the ball in there, getting some weak contact. That'll do. I think Matt Waldron is going to be someone who is incredibly valuable for this organization in terms of eating up those innings while we are waiting for the reinforcements to come up from the minor leagues. Your Thorpes, your Snellings, et cetera, and your Iriartes, excuse me, how dare I forget him. And I think that, I think there are more optimal ways for this organization to be deploying him. I'll be curious if later in spring training we see Waldron, going for 3 innings a couple times a week, as opposed to, just throwing him out there like a starter going once a week, because I think that really is where a lot of his value lies. I'm curious on the rest of these guys. Vasquez, it's funny. Like I'm looking at these ERAs. Do you think Randy Vasquez is going to finish closer to his 0.00 ERA he has now, or that Musgrove is going to finish closer to his 43.20 ERA that he has right now? I can't decide.
Why not both? No.
Let's not both.
Yeah, let's not both. Yeah. Probably Joe will recede from that. So I guess Vasquez is closer because he might be at like 4.
Rafe, you are right. They do have on roster resource, they have Brito ahead of Waldron, and they have friend of the show, Adrian Morahone, also higher than Brito.
Which is cute. And Morahone's out of options and Avila's out of options. And that's why in my initial projection, which I'll hold to until it's changed, I've got those guys as the 7th and 8th relievers in the bullpen for San Diego. Avila on the right side, Morahone on the left side. And if they can stretch out to the point where they spot start or replace a starter along the way, so be it. But I just don't see especially Avila. I don't see him as a long-term starting option. I think if the Padres start him, they're just going to give up on him after 5 or 6 bad outings. Whereas as a reliever, I think he might have a slightly better chance to stick because he's pushing in that way. So we'll see. There's still another whole whopping 15 games before they break camp and go to Korea. So I'm sure this will all be sorted out with a plethora of data points between here and then.
They still can bring back Eric Lauer.
Sure. For a stupid amount of money, or Michael Lorenzen or some other mid-rotation jerk. I don't think they're going to do that, though. Let's address the gaping holes on this team and kind of wrap up the show. When I rank the gaping holes of this team, 4th and 5th starter rank at the bottom for me, because it could be Vasquez, it could be Waldron, it could be Brito, it could be Avila, it could be Morahone, it could be Burgert, it could be Mazer, it could be Thorpe. A lot of guys. And if one of them doesn't work out, another guy is there. And if none of them work out, well, where are we anyway? I don't think Michael Lorenzen will solve the equation, as a result. I think it's just as likely that Michael Lorenzen or Hyun-Jin Ryu, he's gone now, or any one of these other, Eric Lauer, are worse than Vasquez / Brito / Waldron / at all. But you paid $12 million for the privilege of finding that out. Meanwhile, just nothing is happening. We've gotten to the point as Padres fans that we are left in the humiliating position of being included in an agent drop athletic article linking us as a finalist for Kike fucking Hernandez.
And getting a little excited about it.
And then, oh no, he went to the Dodgers too. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me now? We were about to corner the market by getting the 2 worst position players in baseball last year. Profar? No. How about them apples? Profar and Kike, baby. And oh no, we didn't get him. Did we fail as an organization? This is the level of ridiculousness that we are at, that we are looking at the worst shit at the bottom of the fucking toilet and going, well, that could be ours.
You're going to throw that out?
Are you going to flush that? Maybe let it float a little while longer. So I've got my match game here for you. Waiting on a Preller move in spring training is like blank.
It's like waiting for Barry to make a good decision in the TV show Barry on HBO.
It's like watching paint dry if the paint was the left field chalk in Petco Park that currently no one is trampling over because there's a gaping hole there. I'm like a 20 grade analogy guy. I'm not the analogy guy.
Fair.
I'm still caught up on Craig going, oh no! I want to pull that out. I want to clip that. Anytime anything happens. I didn't know that was a weird sound that all 3 of us can make, because I've heard Chris make that sound before.
Oh my God. Waiting on a Preller move is like watching a meth addict try to compose a symphony. It's like he's over there in the
happened.
He's over there in the
sounds
corner.
pretty fast to me.
Yeah, he's over there
a lot
in the
of them
corner,
are German,
and it's noisy, and there seems to be something going on. There's something approximating music that's happening over there, but nothing ever happens because he's a meth addict. He's distracted. It's off. It's just never going to happen. I can't believe how this offseason has gone. I get that there's a little time left. And I get that if he, the goddamn, undergraduate, brilliant kid who never shows up to class, slides the essay under the professor's door at like 11:58 p.m., like that it's still supposed to be graded equally to the person who worked on it an hour a day for a month and turned it in a week on time. Like, I understand that he could make some great move the day before spring training, and we're all supposed to be like, oh, what were we wasting our time for arguing for 3 months? The genius finally landed, like, but give me a break. Give me a break. This is mismanagement in a critical moment in franchise history where the prices are the highest they have ever been, where they have gone up 3 years in a row to an unprecedented level. Simultaneously, the CEO and the control owner have thanked/threatened us that thanks to our level of support, they can do what they've done so far. But like, don't want to let that go any
you better
lower.
Keep those engines running 110% full. Customers.
And here we are, and our center fielder is, and our left fielder is a platoon that's a kid that's a year undercooked probably, and our DH is nobody. We don't even have a DH.
I read in the UT they're going to try Brett Sullivan.
Why not? Did you know his nickname's Booty? Like, this is where we're at right now. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We're recording this on February 26th. On March 20th, we play a Major League Baseball game. And we're here. We're here in a setup that is intentional. AJ Preller didn't slip in the bathtub, gang. He didn't sprain his ankle and spend the last 4 weeks at Kaiser because he got hurt in a pickup game. Like, he's there every day, and this is the intention of the organization. They have told us, they have shown us, and this is where they are right now, where if there's not a move, we're going in on prospect rankings and puffery, essentially, into a year where the very same people are telling us that we are intending to contend for a World Series this year. It's crazy.
I have to. There's a few things I want to say, but the phrase "intending to contend" really is the San Diego Padres story. We really mean to contend.
Very Reds-like.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I want to agree with you, Craig, in terms of getting. Listen, no, you don't have to warm me up for me to start criticizing AJ Preller. That being said, you were talking about AJ Preller. I can't believe this offseason has been so slow, like, et cetera. What is he doing? The only thing that's changed, the GM hasn't changed. The president of baseball operations hasn't changed. It's just ownership. It has to be like, we know AJ Preller. He is the human cocaine bag. Like, he is someone who he has a reputation around the league to constantly be calling on everyone and making moves constantly. The only thing that changed this offseason was that Peter Seidler is no longer our owner. And so I really it's actually hard for me logically to lay this at AJ's feet because he's never been the one that's had, that's been trigger scared. You have a bullet point, and I'm sorry to spike this earlier, but just further down of just we have $18 to $20 million gap between our payroll and the CBT, that we're not using. And, there is the phrase, and I've seen articles from Kevin Acee and other people being that we want to have dry powder to use later. This is the time to use the powder. This is the time when there's no one in center field. You won't need to use it
later. You'll be selling off, not buying.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So until I'm proven otherwise, because also AJ's the one who controls the trades. And I really think that AJ doesn't want to let go of these prospects. I think he's really committed to changing the way that we do things and not use prospects as a means to get major league ready players because we can't pay for those major league ready players. That's why those trades aren't being made because ownership has said that we are not going to do it. So to me, your phrasing thanked/threatening was perfect to me. It was nice baseball team we put together. Be a shame if something were to happen to it, wouldn't it? So that, and to me, that's again more Yankees hot plunge voiceover work. It's ownership to me. It's ownership to me, and I will continue to lay this at their feet until they prove me wrong.
Very, very fair on your part. But I will just say once again, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'll just assert that bullet point. You got to spend that money. I came on after the Soto trade, okay with it, saying it's okay because this is going to turn into something else that'll help the team one way or another. And if the alternative is thank you for your season tickets, I am in the 300 level now, paying almost $250 a month, 12 months a year, essentially a small car payment to enjoy my season tickets in San Diego. And your reaction to the highest payroll ever is thank you, or the highest cost ever is thank you. We'll pocket that. We're going to leave this gap. And yet we're going to talk about Peter Seidler's vision and the alignment of the vision of contention. Peter Seidler's vision, I'm telling you right now, Peter Seidler would be saying to AJ today, how do we sign Blake Snell?
Yeah.
Why is he still out there? Why is he not on our team? We'd be better if we had Blake. Let's sign Blake. I don't care that we're 4-time offenders of the CBT. Let's be 12-time offenders of the CBT. It's money. Can't take it with us. Let's sign Blake Snell. That's a choice the organization makes. Now, are they wise to get under the CBT? Hell, the Dodgers went under the CBT. The Dodgers were intentional to reset in order to spend $1.2 billion this offseason.
They tried to. They failed.
They didn't make it?
No.
Well, bully for them.
It's good. It's good for them. They have to spend more money.
Tough kids. They tried. They tried hard.
Yeah.
Point being, there's reasons to reset the CBT. They set competitive limits for a reason. But to stay way under it? I'm sorry. I consider that a breaking of the faith.
Craig, I want to pull on that thread a little bit because when Soto got traded, I was furious because it seemed like an abdication of competing in 2024. And I've softened on that a bit. But I do want to lay out the map of if the first thing you do is trade your best hitter in a semi-salary dump. I mean, if it's a 30% salary dump, 70% trying to fill holes on your roster, it's still partly a salary dump. And then the next thing you do is tell everybody that we're not quite done. As Eric Kutsenda and AJ Preller have said in regards to the roster in the last couple weeks, they've each said we're not necessarily done adding to the roster. If they say those things and then are in fact done, that's a deception. So if the first thing you do is you trade your best hitter, and then the second thing you do is you lie to your fan base about how you're investing in the roster, that's stupid business. These people sure seem to think they're smart. They've presented themselves as smart business people, and that's not how you build a fan base, is by making the business decision every time. That's in fact dumb. So if they want to have that be the start of their relationship with these fans, the post Peter Seidler era, we're in for a rough sledding, y'all. There are examples all around the league of second generation ownerships that did stuff like this, and that trail is dark. So let's not do that. Let's go ahead and build on Peter's legacy by trying to friggin' win. And that, if that's your guiding light as a baseball franchise, you're doing it right. Too many don't follow that model. Don't feel pressured by MLB's pack of just non-trying teams. Let's continue being a trying team.
Well, to wit, and by the way, I just want to say this for the folks who either poke fun or wonder. This very thing that we just talked about, I said a lot of this on the Padres flagship today, including that spending is a choice and that buying Blake Snell is a choice you could still make. And going over the CBT is a choice you could still make. And that as a season ticket holder, I'd be all in favor. It's money. It's not the universe. It's money. Spend the money. With that said, putting pragmatic hat back on that I started this show with. If Jackson Merrill is our left fielder, and if our center fielder is going to be Bippy and Boopy, Marsee and Azocar or whatever, we've got money to spend. And I'm fine with not blowing $13 million on Michael Lorenzen. I'm fine with not blowing $12 million on Eric Lauer. You at least have to sign a veteran DH for this team. You have to. You have to extend this lineup. You can't let Matt Batten and Jurickson Profar be your platoon DH in 2024. That's a joke. That's what a last place team does. That's garbage. And Brandon Belt is right out there. And I'm telling you, man, he made $9.3 million last year, and he was a 400 plate appearance, pure DH, and he still put up 2 BWAR last year. That's the kind of offensive production this team needs. Some on-base percentage, some power, a left-handed bat that you could put in the 3 spot in the lineup instead of Jake Cronenworth. And let Jake Cronenworth be down in that 6 spot and let Jackson Merrill kick down to the 8 or 9 spot where it wouldn't even matter that much how much he hit as the year went on. This to me is just a simply obvious move. And I don't need $20 million of JD Martinez to be the 7th right-handed bat in the lineup. Obviously, he's better than Brandon Belt, but he's also 37. I would take Brandon Belt with all of his NL West experience and with his combination of power and patience that he has demonstrated throughout his career, the number of times he's gone over 100 WRC plus, and I would make that the priority for the majority of the remaining gap money that we have.
I'm not convinced he's going to cost as much as he made last year. The market's completely different. Teams are spending way, way less. You're seeing projections of folks like Ahmed Rosario, who was projected to make $10 million, making $1.5. So the market's wonky. I'm kind of done projecting what guys are going to get because the experts can't get it right. But my gut tells me he's not going to be that expensive. Now, one thing about Brandon Belt, and I just want to put this out there in case he's listening. He is a prolific fisher person. And if he did decide to come to San Diego, we have the world's largest live bait sport fishing fleet. If he doesn't make the All-Star game, that is a prime opportunity for him to get out and pull on some monsters. So, Brandon, when you're weighing your offers, and I trust that the Padres have tendered you at least they've done some feelers to see how you're going because they're trying to win franchises. They tell us, just consider we've got amazing fishing, my friend. And that's it.
Yeah. The thing about Brandon Belt that's really intriguing to me, I mean, he's currently 35, he's going to turn 36 in April. He's still projected to put up like a 115-ish WRC plus. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if his market estimates, which I think were around $10 million at the beginning, I wouldn't be surprised if he signed for less than half at this point. The interesting thing is that he's not someone who, despite his offensive prowess historically, has hit a lot of home runs. He's
a ground ball king.
He's a ground ball king, and maybe I'm just thinking about Jason R. Martinez, and we talked to him, and all he was talking about was Petco. It's Petco. Yeah. Petco is the weird thing, and I do wonder if I know he's a lefty, and we need lefties, and I would be 100% for signing him. I would just want us to keep an eye on his performance, and I know he's getting older, but he never hit more than 20 home runs in his career, except for one season. In San Francisco, his final season or second to last season in San Francisco, 2021, when they won all those games, and nothing weird was happening at all.
No,
that year, nothing weird. Brandon Belt, who had never hit more than 19 home runs in a season, all of a sudden hits 29 home runs and then doesn't do it. Goes back to just being a ground ball guy. Nothing weird to see here. I think that Brandon Belt and Michael A. Taylor are how I'm blowing the rest of our gap. If we can make that happen, I will be 100% happy. I will say no more. I can put up with, whatever we're gonna put in left field at that point. Obviously, it seems to me that according to our ownership, I'm asking too much. If we also throw in a Tommy Pham or something, in
Right.
there, that's just really too much to ask. But
How dare
a
you?
competent center fielder, a strong left-handed bat that can play designated hitter and first base occasionally, like that takes us from like we said, fourth place conversations to, hey, okay, we got a shot. I would be willing to bet that we have a shot this year.
Raphie, engage your core because I'm jumping on your back. I think that's a fine way to spend the money. Even if you have to do a trade, like Michael A. Taylor, good. He's not going to be that expensive. If you trade for somebody with a similar salary coming this year, I do want to point out, Craig, that Eric Lauer isn't going to cost $10 million. He got non-tendered. He's going to be nowhere near that. And if the Padres add one more veteran person in that ilk, Brad Keller, Eric Lauer, whoever, I think that gives the rotation a little bit more depth because they have so many guys that can be optioned or moved to the bullpen. Pedro Avila can work out of the bullpen. Matt Waldron can work out of the bullpen. Brito can be optioned. Vasquez can be optioned. I think it'll give them the depth in the starting rotation that they're desperately going to need if anything happens to the guys in the top three.
Okay, I mean, I agree with that. And listen, if you tell me that everyone's going to cost a quarter of what we think, then I say sign for more than we thought we would have. So
but they are like, that's what the market's doing. Like, I know Kike got a crazy amount. He got $4 million.
He got $4 million.
But Tim Anderson got next to nothing. It's been a trend throughout the whole market. Kike's is weird. He has pictures of it.
But as I see these guys go off the board, I just look at intentionality. The Padres could have signed Aaron Hicks for the major league minimum and installed him in a corner outfield position, and the Angels did it instead. And I get their starting lineup every morning, and Aaron Hicks is in the starting lineup.
I don't want to be the Angels. I trust that they're trying to win and that they're smarter than the Angels. That's what I think about the Padres.
Do you think so, really?
Bar is low.
I hope
I do.
I hope
it's
right.
That's Raphie's point. It's not that hard.
Yeah,
I keep bringing them up. They're not good.
I'm not going to revisit last week's Blake Snell thing. I'm just going to say that Cody Bellinger signed for the Bellinger version of the Snell contract I proposed, and the Snell contract I proposed would just be an absurd abstraction of what Cody Bellinger did. It would be such a loss for Scott Boras that I know it'll never happen, because it would be him prostrating his loss to the baseball world and everyone would write about it. But you can't tell me right now that there is any market in the country that Blake Snell could go to on a 1-year deal that would be better than San Diego for Blake.
Sure, continuity with Ruben Niebla, setting the stage for another prove-it year, which he doesn't need. He has 2 Cy Youngs, people.
He needs it. He can't get a deal.
I think he can. I think Bryce Harper, another Boras client, didn't sign till March. I think it's Boras playing games with his top 2 guys. Monty, after Rafael Devers went out and publicly called out the front office, all of a sudden Monty's getting calls. Mike Trout just called out his front office. So now, there's more Blake Snell to the Angels fire. The Padres, and unlike those 2 teams, the Padres have said they're not done. The Red Sox insinuated strongly that they were going to play with the roster they had. The Angels kind of did the same. The Padres said they're still adding. There's no way they're adding a Blake Snell. There's no way they go over the CBT for Blake Snell this year. I want that dream to die because it hurts us in the end.
Yeah, I agree with Chris, but Craig, I think you are right in that Bellinger signed his version of that deal for very similar reasons. Again, the deal is 3 years, $80 million. The split is 30-30-20. There's an opt-out after each season. So, if he puts up the same season that he put up last year, he'll opt out and, do all that stuff. But again, the reason that Bellinger didn't get the market that he was after is because his underlying metrics were a lot weaker than his actual performance.
And he'd been garbage for 3 years.
Yes, there's just way too much volatility. You could say the same thing about Blake Snell. His performance did not match a, basically 5 walks per 9 rate.
Well, no, but his metrics did fine. His metrics were fantastic. The only thing that wasn't an elite pitch was his fastball, so it's not quite the same. And Blake has a much better track record.
But I would the previous 2 years, you would never have paid him to be an ace in Major League Baseball. Only from the second half of last year would you pay him to be an ace, and that's why he doesn't have a contract. It's what Joe Sheehan wrote about. It's the Snellinger principle. You can't, if you're giving a guy to a contract to a guy that you would never have given him a year before, then it's probably wrong to give it to him this year. And that's why no one's given him the deal. That's why he's going to sign some weird ass deal somewhere along the way. And Blake Snell is a hothouse flower, guys. His April and May are already fucked in 2024. I'm here to tell you, he's already missed the window for the first start of spring training.
Yeah.
So knowing how Blake is classically prepared and always on the top of his game at the very start of the Major League season, we see the Instagram videos of his coaching his Little League team. Like today, so like he's already effed for 2024. His best spot is to come back here and to come home. And if they spent as a season ticket holder, I would celebrate. I know we would all celebrate if it happened. I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. Last thing. If the Red Sox are going down Scott Boris's primrose path to sign Jordan Montgomery, they want to trim salary. They want to clear a little out in order to bring a little in. And it brings me back to something that just, I don't know. First time out, Robert Suarez got hammered. Who cares? Spring training doesn't matter. I know. Yuki Matsui struck out the side. Make him the closer. Uh-oh, he's got a back problem. He couldn't make his next appearance. Maybe both our closers are hurt. Hurt or bad. It's February 26th. Jarren Duran, Kenley Jansen, and salary compensation for Kenley Jansen to keep us under the CBT. Can this work for the Padres? Can we make this work to get a controllable on-base percentage? Not great defensive, but maybe solid offensive, maybe Cronenworth-esque center fielder, and a veteran closer for 2024. Can we make this work?
It's AJ Preller. He's a cocaine cowboy. He can make anything work. I do want to say, and this is my only opinion on this idea, is that Boston Red Sox fans would friggin' love it. And that seems like a red flag to me. They would love it if they got one of the Padres' top 100, top 3 pitching prospects.
I second that, and also I just want to point out Kenley Jansen's owed $16 million this year. That's our whole wad.
No, I said salary relief. They'd have to give like $8 million or something like that.
I don't know. So okay, so that's now we're shooting $10 million of our space. Okay, we still haven't solved. I would say, for my money, the bullpen is not where we need to, have it. There are other salaries that we could be eating while also filling holes on our team. You know what I mean? Like, Jarren Duran, okay, yes, he can play center field. He doesn't play an amazing center field, but he's cheap, controllable. And as has been said, like, we don't really have like a stud center fielder in the system. Like, we have Marsee, who can maybe play center field. We maybe will put Merrill in center field. Who knows? We're putting him in left right now. And that, it's serviceable, but still doesn't change the fact that we don't have that, DH bat that we need, and then we have no money to play with. This doesn't change the fact that we still need to probably bring in some sort of pitching help that we have no money to play with. I know I've been beating this drum the last few weeks, and I'm sorry to beat it again here. This is a problem that we can solve just by spending a little bit of our money on the guys that are still on the board. We don't need to give up prospect capital. Like, it's just, it's going to require 2 lottery tickets that we have to give up, on our little favorite website, Baseball Trade Values, that we have to give our disclaimer that it's mostly BS, but it just gives a reference point. In quote unquote even trade would be Drew Thorpe and Sammy Zavala. Those are 2 Thorpe is not as much of a lottery ticket as Zavala is. Zavala is really is a lottery ticket. Like, he's
right.
Huge upside potential, huge downside. Thorpe could be pitching major league innings for us this season. And to give that up, that reinforcement in July and August to eat Kenley Jansen's salary, and he could be turned into nothing for us, and while plugging the center field hole, but also, still not solving it. It's not for me. It's not the deal for me.
Cool. That's fine. I just think it's always worth considering. I think it's an actual potential deal that's out there.
Sure.
I think Duran is certainly available, and they want to get rid of Jansen. And I do believe that Mike Shildt would rather give the ball to Kenley Jansen on day one than he would either Suarez or Matsui. And that's natural. Whether it's right or wrong, that's natural for a manager to feel that way, or even for a GM to feel that way, because as we know, when you do everything right and then it just falls apart at the end, that's one of the biggest daggers to the heart of a Major League Baseball team. I'm not saying we should trade for Kenley Jansen, okay? I'm not. He's at the end of his career. He's probably done. Does he have one Rod Beck-esque 25 for 25 left in him? I mean, maybe. Maybe if they
He's got a driver's license, he can rent an RV.
If they gave up $12 million, right? You can always come up with a universe that makes a deal palatable where it otherwise wouldn't be. But in the real world, I probably agree with you. And if it's Duran, but you got to take Jansen, it's probably too much for us to eat.
It's a weird metric, but I know if we signed Brandon Belt, Giants fans would be pissed. And I know if we gave the Red Sox a top prospect for Kenley Jansen and Jarren Duran, Red Sox fans would love it. And that's just how I gauge things now.
Based on that logic, I completely agree with you. Let's do that. Let's sign Belt and leave Duran in Boston and leave Jansen in Boston. I like it. Anything else, gentlemen?
Go Padres.
Go Padres. Go
sample size.
Go Padres.
Go. Sign somebody, please. Go.